raise my hands, bow my head. I'm finding more and more truth in the words written in red. You tell me that there's more.
Hey everybody, Cokeman 250 here. So I've been thinking, if somebody comes to my channel, I don't have a video on why I'm prepping or why I begin to prep. I started prepping because the place I work and have worked for ever since I was in high school, they started going through some changes. You know, we had to re-interview and do some re-interview for our jobs, and then once we got picked, then a year later we had to re-interview for our job again. You know, it made me uneasy. And you know, you kind of see the economy. Every company was strapping down, tightening the belt, trying to save money where they could. And I just didn't want to worry that if I lost my job, that my family we wouldn't have anything. You know, we wouldn't have food to eat, which I know, you know, you always think the worst. You know, it's not, you know, you're not thinking, well, you know, maybe I'll lose my job and, oh yeah, we'll be alright, you know. I mean, most of the time you're always going to think the worst. The worst thoughts are going to go through your head. And it, you know, in certain circumstances, those are things that makes you change. As long as, you know, life's going great, you know, everything, you're not worried about the economy, you're not worried about job loss, you're not worried about anything, you know, and then all of a sudden you lose your job, you know, you kind of start freaking out. Well, you know, on YouTube, I guess it's called waking up. You know, you got woke up. Well, you know, it just hits you one day and you start kind of thinking the worst. And when you start thinking the worst, you start thinking of ways to not be in those worst case situations of losing your home, losing your, you know, everything you have, not eating, begging for food. You know, you start thinking of all those horrible, awful things, the worst things. But that's what kind of started changing me. You know, I started worrying about losing my job. You know, it wasn't more of me not doing my job good or doing it right or being good at my job. It was I seen a lot of folks, new folks coming in that had a lot of college, and you know, I just worked hard and worked my way up. You know, I don't have any college, so I kind of got scared that, you know, I might get pushed out of the way for somebody with college, and it was a very, you know, I could see why a company would want people with college degrees, you know. And it started bothering me. You know, I just work hard. I do everything I can. But the reason I prep is for any situation. You know, the way you look at it, if I lost my job today, I've not only prepped food, I've not only prepped medical supplies and some everyday living items, but I've also prepped my budget. And what I mean by that is I focused for 3 years on just paying things off and not owing anybody anything. And I've accomplished that besides my home. I do owe on my home, and my wife has some college loans. But everything else is paid for, and normally when we buy something, we pay cash for it. We haven't financed anything in now over probably 6 years, and I want to keep it like that. But therefore, I've prepped my budget so I don't have to stress out and worry that everything I have, folks are going to come get if I lose my job. You know, we still got a couple vehicles. You know, we still got some things. No, I don't have the toys and stuff like some of my friends, but there comes a time when a man needs to, you know, I needed to get my priorities straight. And was my priorities keeping up with folks, you know, or was it living life the way it should be lived without going to bed and staying awake for 2 hours laying in bed worrying? You know, I don't worry about anything really nowadays. Am I 100% ready for anything that comes at me? No, I'm not. But I'm not worried. So, you know, that's the reason why I prep. It's because there's too many shaky things in the world right now, and I don't want to have the worry, you know. And I could probably say that's the only reason I prep, so I don't have to worry. I don't have to worry about my kids not eating if something happens. I don't have to worry about my wife not eating. I don't have to worry. It's such a stress reliever to me. Sorry about the wind. It's such a stress reliever to me. Peace of mind. And you know, I'm glad I started, and I'm glad I found this YouTube community and all the help that comes along with it. So just wanted to throw that out there in case somebody come across my channel and didn't understand why I was doing this, or you know, what the deal was with Cokeman 250 in this channel. But I will end this on this little dog pen here. It was here when I moved here, and it's kind of just built onto the side of my barn. But it's got a dirt floor on back, and I'm gonna clean this up, and I'm gonna try to make this a chicken coop, chicken house. I'm actually gonna take this chain link fence, go around the back side of this tree, and come way over here. You know, I want to make the chicken yard part of it bigger so they have some room to walk around and stuff. But I'm gonna build a wall right here, and I'm gonna build a floor so that it's up off the ground, so that I can, you know, wash it out on the inside and stuff. But hopefully when it cools down, I got so many projects on the list. It's just been so hot to really get out here and do a whole lot. So that's some of my plans, and this is Cokeman 250 from the land of the free and the home of the brave. And remember, prep smarter and pray harder. I'm out.